Hi, I'm Donny Epstein, and I'd like to share with you the most important principle I've ever heard in my life. The principle of how the universe is organized, why life builds up or breaks down, and how this applies to the profession of chiropractic. I'm not saying what chiropractors do. I'm saying the profession with its most purest intent. Most spiritual traditions have a really pure intent based upon faith, making a better impact, and going into uncertainty and coming up with something extraordinary, become more resourceful in spite of circumstances that seem impossible. Yet, most of those spiritual principles are installed in a system or structure or religion that is based upon certainty and feeling important. Exact opposite. Most of the spiritual and most truest principles in the world are very often put into a box the culture has that mutes it. Well, the chiropractic principle was never meant to be politically correct. It was meant to be raw, real, and beautiful. What's that principle? The principle is that there's an organizing wisdom of life. Now, every spiritual tradition has spoken about that, from Judaism to Christianity to Islam to Hindu to Buddhism. They all speak of that. And in around early 1900s, Daniel David Palmer, DD, and wow, I just remembered, one of my sons is David, another one is Daniel. Wow, interesting. DD Palmer, he said that there's a universal intelligence gives all matter its properties. It's a vibrational essence, essence that contains the information of all of creation. It's basically not of the body, but it impacts the body. It's not of this dimension, but it impacts this dimension. And that vibrational organizing wisdom that creates every atom, everything that exists, is intelligent. It knows what it's doing. And everything breaks down to randomness, has no more energy, therefore it can't be expressed. So what does it mean? It means you need energy even to keep a form the way it is. The water will erode the rocks. The ocean will erode the beach. The oxygen oxidizes and breaks things down. Living systems are able to have its own organizing wisdom that allows them, in spite of everything of breaking down, to actually build up. The hammer, when you use it, bang, 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 the handle wears out. With use, your hand builds up. Entropy is where things break down back to the dust because there's no more energy to organize. When the organizing energy is no longer available, that wisdom that organizes the co-creation's codes cannot manifest. And the body breaks down. When not enough energy to live, we even die. Now, so there's two forces. There's organizing wisdom, universal wisdom in everything, and intelligence that makes sure hydrogen, helium, carbon, oxygen have the unique vibrational frequencies. And the reason you could see an MRI picture or a CAT scan is because the inherent frequencies mapped, which is true to each part of matter, every atom, every structure. And there's an innate, inborn intelligence. And its job is to protect you from the breakdown and start actually having synergy, which is minus entropy, means you build up in spite of the tendency to break down and go towards disbursements, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. What about the time in between? That's what chiropractic was based upon. So there's a vibrational wisdom, a universal intelligence that is all the wisdom that's possible, all data fields, as you would now say. it actually, vibration causes a vibration in the brain, which is interpreted by the body's own innate natural intelligence. It's personalized for you, personalized for me. As a result of that, there's what's called a mental impulse, a consciousness unit, a unit of consciousness that only life has, that will take that energy of the universe and it'll make it perfectly suited for you. It results in a vibration of the nerves. Now, what's interesting is what Daniel David Palmer, D.D. Palmer, said. If you stretch the neuroskeleton, the brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, the structure nervous system matrix, if you stretch that, it alters the vibrational capacity of a nerve, like pushing on a guitar string and get a certain note. He said it's all based upon tone. If you alter the tone, you alter the frequency of the nerves, you alter the frequency of nerves, you alter the tone, and you alter the form or the morphology the cell takes. I take this a step further. You alter the morphology of shape of your life. The shape, position, tone, and tension of your life is in relationship to the shape, position, tone, and tension of your spine. So now, what about this vibrational stuff? What about nerve impulses? The chiropractic principle was never about nerve impulse, but a mental impulse, which is a multidimensional communication. It is an alteration of electromagnetic field within and around the person's body. They now know the consciousness is associated with the ability to self-organize and create a change in electromagnetic field as different neurons and brain centers start oscillating, vibing together. As they vibe together, a field of consciousness is produced. If that field stays the same no matter what's happening, that becomes illness because you're too stable. That means you are not open to the change necessary. If you have too much instability, you change all the time without stability. It's like having a dance where you keep doing the auxiliary steps and you forget the main dance in life. Too much stability, the system breaks down or your life stalls. Too much instability, there's no basics to come home with. Your life breaks down. It's the blessing of the both together. Research shows that the nerve impulse, the bioelectrical signal, is not a primary factor. There is a vibration, it's called acoustic waves, like you sit between two speakers at a rock concert and you feel this pulse pressure wave. There's a vibrational wave that goes to the nerve that disturbs the membrane, and the electrical signal is a lower level, almost an artifact of the shift in consciousness. So here we get to the original principle there. And now, what I discovered in time is that what are those tension patterns in the spine? And when the tension pattern stays too stable, it holds you where you are, life starts downsizing. Why? Because you don't have enough energy to adapt to rapid changes. So the chiropractic principle is that there is an intelligence, a living intelligence that makes you different from dead things. Cut your hand, put peroxide or iodine or whatever you want, your potion or lotion on it, and it heals. Do it to a piece of meat, nothing happens. Why? It's dead, that's right. The principle of chiropractic says, what does life do in its divine perfection when it's working right? And if there's not enough energy for the organizing wisdom, then the body gives you pathology, a path of logic. How do I downsize the cells, the function, your perception, your intimacy, your relations, your business, your opportunities to survive? And then people start doing something different. They start trying to downsize their life and adapt themselves to an environment while being ill. They go to move away from something than towards. Yes, every profession has its job to try to correct or eliminate something. The chiropractic profession, the term was a subluxation. That means when there's a disrelationship and the tension between the brain and the body, it results now in a loss of beingness first. Then it results in a loss of coherence where it functions as one whole unit, where one part knows what the other part is doing with what's called quantum entanglement. They're all functioning as one, and you impact others also. And then there's a neurological biomechanical disturbance with changing chemistry, perceptions, behaviors in life. And the purpose of chiropractic originally, and in many forms, which I've dedicated a good deal of my life to, is see that principles alive now with not what's called philosophy from over 100 years ago, but modern science. I probably attended to about 250,000 people. I've developed systems in chiropractic that are consistent with this to even upgrade the human operating system for today's time. Well, between the brain and the cells of the body is a nervous system. Every thought you think, every emotion you have, everything that's going wrong or right, every attitude you have, your immune function, the cell's organization, everything is a reality, is an interpretation of vibrational signals between the brain and the body. And the capacity that you have to organize that is what your life is about, in form, in structure, behavior, quality, and quantity. From this principle, I dedicate the rest of my life to see how can we help people live consistent with organizing force of nature, and rather than trying to move away from something, even in that move away from a subluxation to correct it, how do we optimize the ability to use energy and information in a way that the organizing wisdom of life can be in its full glory? Instead of fighting the darkness, how do we find where the light is and advance it in our bodies, our lives, our business, our relationship? Now, chiropractic doesn't affect those things directly. What it does is affect the you that's experiencing it, the you that's interpreting the world, the you that's giving meaning to things, the you that's interacting, and the amount of coherent energy that you bring to the world. It's beyond ordinary healing. I call it EpiHealing. It's beyond reasonable, and it's for extraordinary. That's why I decided to get my degree in Doctor of Chiropractic. That's why I get the care regularly and seek to keep advancing and finding out, what do we now know about the body, the nervous system? What do we now know about consciousness? How can I actually be a resonant structure, a resonant being for the change that must happen in the world? And how can we help upgrade the possibility for humanity in these crazy times? You've upgraded your software, you upgrade your devices. Now it's time, with specific chiropractic care that's based upon these principles, to make sure that happens. Well, I invite you to join me on this journey. And I'll be giving different recordings, video and some audio, on different things that I think may be important for you. Things were important for me. And the biggest idea of all is this organizing wisdom with enough energy. It does what it needs to do. And the tone of your life lines up with whatever you're here for in the most extraordinary way. Thank you.